You'll be just fine. Appreciate everything you guys do for me and the team. So make it a good one.
Don't you just love it when you get that first win? All of a sudden it comes with confidence.
Oh, yeah.
Now he's turned into a leader of that team.
Well, I think, and it's such an important thing. That big win gave him the #1 pit stall, gave him that front row starting spot today because it rained qualifying out. Such an important thing, that momentum swing that it helps him do, and you heard that confidence in his voice. Very alive.
Today's race, 500 miles, 325 laps, and the stages here are nearly equal. 105 laps, 105, 115. 45 down pit road. Larry tells us the fuel window is 64 to 70 laps, and we'll have a competition caution at lap 45. Nice crowd on hand as we take the green flag in Atlanta.
Already you saw what cars can do when they lock together. They drove off from the pack. That's something that's going to be a learning event all day long.
Well, Joey Logano, when we spoke to him prior to this race, right, he said, oh, a little bit of a wiggle there for Joey Logano with Kyle Busch on the outside. Here comes Chase Elliott, but you heard him say, we'll lock bumpers maybe to turn 2, and that's exactly what Logano did, try to push his teammate Ryan Blaney to the lead.
The first thing
let that lap, Briscoe now out in front.
The first thing I notice when I look at this track, you can definitely tell when they get to the corners, it's just narrower. It's a little bit more narrow than what we have at Daytona and Talladega. And asking 3 wide or a 4 wide situation out of here, look out.
Briscoe leads lap 2. Look at this funnel down that straightaway, and the track narrows up to turn 1.
Yeah, I got a chance to go around the racetrack earlier today in a pace car, and I got to tell you, turn 1, especially at the speed that these guys are running inches away from one another, when you get to turn 1, it feels like it's 1 car width wide, but yet they're 2 wide, 190 miles per hour.
A headwind coming down this front straightaway, and about a 30-mile-an-hour tailwind down the backstretch.
There's so many things going on already. I think, you know, when you start talking about a super speedway type of racing, one of the things that you notice is accordion. The thing on accordion, the guy slips up a little bit, it'll stack that line up, and now all of a sudden the outside or inside line, whichever one was the opposite, will start prevailing. Also handling. Because of those tight radius that we showed you versus a Daytona, very tight radius, asking a lot out of the car, leaning on the wheel, much different here at Atlanta.
You mentioned handling. Right there, we saw Ross Chastain on the inside of somebody going into turn 1. Had a big run. He had to check up because the front end took off on him. That's what I hear a lot of guys complain about is turn 3. When you get a big run, the fronts just don't want to hold that line on the bottom.
And I think some of that is that old American flag, Old Glory, blowing hard down the back straightaway, blowing these cars off into the corner. They get in there with a big head of steam and pick up a push. And if there's a car on the outside of you, you're going to be in trouble.
Start to see that outside line start to get a little more organized.
Now, yesterday in practice, everybody tried to stay around the bottom of the racetrack. In the Xfinity race, everybody ran the top.
I think